Christmas Eve, 1887. Snow fell like ash over Montana. Cole Brennan sat alone in his cabin, firelight dying to embers. The whiskey bottle stood untouched beside him. 3 years he'd been pouring glasses he never drank. On the table, a tintype photograph lay face down. He couldn't bear to see their faces tonight. Outside, wind howled through the pines. Inside, silence pressed heavier than the snow. A knock came. Soft. Almost afraid, Cole didn't move. Another knock, weaker now. Then a voice, barely above a whisper, "Please." "No one gives us shelter." He rose slowly, joints creaking from cold and disuse. His hand found the door latch. For a moment, he hesitated. Opening that door meant letting the world back in. 3 years he'd kept it out. The knock came again. A child's cough followed. Cole opened the door. She stood in the snow, wrapped in worn blankets that did nothing against the cold. Apache woman. Maybe 34. With dignity carved into her face despite desperation in her eyes. Behind her skirt, 2 children huddled, a boy around 8, a girl no more than 5. Their dark eyes were wide with cold and hunger. Snow clung to their hair like frozen tears. "My children," she whispered. Every door closed. Every town said no. We have nowhere. Cole's hand gripped the door frame. The threshold between his isolation and their need felt solid as stone. He could close the door, return to his ghosts, let the cold take them as it should have taken him years ago. The little girl's lips were blue. "Get inside." He stepped aside. The woman hesitated. Experience had taught her that kindness came with conditions, but her children needed warmth more than she needed caution. She guided them through the door. Cole closed it against the wind, against the world, against whatever judgment would surely follow. The woman turned to him, gratitude and wariness warring in her expression. "We only need few hours. Floor is enough. You need food and warmth. Sit by the fire." He stoked the flames, added wood until heat pushed back the cold. From his trunk, he pulled blankets meant for his bed, wrapped them around the shivering children. Their small bodies trembled like wounded birds. The woman watched his every move, waiting for the demand. The condition, the cruelty, none came. Cole heated beans, cut bread with hands that hadn't served another person in 3 years. He set plates before them. The children looked at their mother. She nodded. They ate like they hadn't in days. Cole moved to the window, peered out at the thickening snow. Storms settling in, roads won't clear till after Christmas. The woman's face paled. "We cannot stay. If town finds out you sheltered Apache, let me worry about the town." Their eyes met across the small cabin, 2 wounded souls recognizing each other. As the old saying went, broken people knew the sound of breaking. "I am running deer," she said quietly. "These are my children, Little Hawk, Morning Star." Cole nodded. Cole Brennan. He didn't add more. Didn't explain why he lived alone on Christmas Eve. Why his cabin held ghosts instead of family. Why a woman's desperation at his door felt like fate knocking. The little girl, Morning Star, looked up at him with eyes too old for her years. "Thank you, mister." Something cracked in Cole's chest. Something frozen. Something he'd thought was dead. "You're welcome," he said roughly. "Now eat, rest. You're safe here." Safe. He hadn't used that word in 3 years, hadn't believed in it. But watching them huddle by his fire, color returning to the children's cheeks, he wondered if maybe, just maybe, God had kept him alive for this moment. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, another kind of storm was just beginning. Night deepened over the cabin. The children slept by the fire, finally warm. Their small bodies relaxed in exhaustion. Running Deer sat across from Cole, the silence between them thick as the falling snow. She noticed the face-down photograph. Her eyes lingered on it, asking without words. Cole poured himself water instead of whiskey. Progress. Perhaps. You had family. Running Deer said softly, statement, not question. His hand tightened on the cup. Had. What happened? He should tell her to mind her business. Should keep his walls up. But something in her eyes, that same grief he saw in his mirror, made words spill out like blood from a wound. Fever took them, wife and son, 3 winters ago. His voice sounded like gravel scraped raw. I rode out for supplies. Took longer than planned. When I came back, graves. Running Deer finished. 2 of them, side by side. The fire crackled. Outside, wind screamed. My husband died protecting our village. Running Deer offered. He was peacekeeper. Good man. When soldiers came after, they blamed whole village. I took children and ran. She paused. 3 towns we tried. Every door closed. Apache widow. They said, like it makes us less than human. Cole understood. Loss was loss. Rejection was rejection. Pain had no color. Why you stay alone? She asked. He stared into the flames. Because I wasn't there when they needed me. Man who fails his family doesn't deserve another chance. The words hung between them like judgment. Running Deer was quiet for a long moment. Little Hawk stirred in his sleep, whimpering softly, without thinking. Cole rose, took a blanket from his own bed, and tucked it carefully around the boy. The gesture came naturally, muscle memory from another life when he'd tucked in his own son. When he straightened, he found Running Deer watching him. Something softened in her guarded expression. You are still good man, she said quietly. Pain does not change that. Cole returned to his chair, unsettled by her words. When storm clears, you should go. No trouble for you here if you go quick. And trouble for you if we stay. People talk. Small towns have long memories and short mercy. Running Deer nodded slowly. We go when storm clears. Thank you. For this night, for warmth, for mercy. Mercy. The word settled over Cole like a blanket he didn't deserve. He looked at the sleeping children, their peaceful faces lit by firelight. Looked at Running Deer, dignity wrapped around her like armor. Looked at his own hands, still capable of kindness despite years of neglect. Maybe we both lived for reason we could not see. Her words echoed in his mind. Storm clears when it clears. He finally said, until then, you're guests, not charity. Guests. Running Deer's eyes glistened. Thank you. Cole Brennan. It was the first time anyone had spoken his full name in years. It felt like being called back from the dead that night, after Running Deer settled beside her children. Cole sat alone with his thoughts. He picked up the tintype photograph, still face down. His fingers traced its edges without turning it over. Not yet, but for the first time in 3 years. He thought he might. Soon. Outside, the storm showed no sign of clearing. Inside. Something else was clearing the fog of grief, lifting slowly like morning mist over the mountains. Christmas morning broke silver and cold. Cole woke to sounds he'd forgotten. The soft murmur of voices, the clatter of cooking, the whispered laughter of children. For a moment, he thought he was dreaming. Then he smelled coffee brewing and reality settled strange, unfamiliar, but not unwelcome. He rose from his chair where he'd dozed and found Running Deer at his stove. She'd found his meager supplies and worked magic with them, beans and cornmeal becoming something that smelled like home. You should rest, Cole said, his voice rough with sleep. She turned, a small smile crossing her face. You gave us shelter. I give what I can. Morningstar sat on the floor, playing with a wooden spoon, making it dance and sing in her small hands. Little Hawk stood near the window, watching snow fall with quiet intensity. They shared breakfast in careful silence. The children ate slowly now, not starving anymore, but savoring. learning to trust that food would come again. Cole found himself watching them. Something twisting in his chest that felt dangerously like hope. After breakfast, Little Hawk wandered to Cole's workbench. Tools lay dusty there, half-carved wood pieces abandoned mid-creation. The boy's fingers traced a half-finished horse. "You make things?" Little Hawk asked. "Used to, for my boy." The admission slipped out before Cole could stop it. Little Hawk looked up at him. "Could you teach me?" Cole's chest tightened. Every instinct screamed to say no. Keep distance. Don't let them in. Hearts that opened got broken. But the boy's eyes held such hope. Such simple, honest hope. "Sit down." Cole heard himself say, "I'll show you." He pulled a chair beside the bench. Found a small piece of pine, took out his carving knife. Running Deer watched from the kitchen, her hands stilled over dishes. "Hold it like this," Cole said, positioning the wood in the boy's small hands. "Gentle but firm. Let the knife follow the grain." Little Hawk's tongue stuck out in concentration as he made his first careful cut. Morning Star tottered over, wanting to see. Soon both children sat at the workbench, learning to shape wood into something beautiful. Cole found himself really teaching, for the first time since his son died. By afternoon, Little Hawk held up a lopsided bird. It looked more like a lumpy cloud with wings, but his face glowed with pride. "For you," he said shyly, offering it to Cole. Cole took it like it was made of gold. "Best bird I've seen," he said, and meant it. Running Deer smiled, then her first real smile. It transformed her face, revealing beauty beneath the weariness, light beneath the sorrow. Cole found himself staring before catching himself. That evening, they sat by the fire together. Cole told stories of the frontier tales of horses and mountains, of stars that guided travelers home. The children listened, rapt. Running Deer mended clothes, her needle moving in rhythm with his words. "Tell another," Morning Star begged when he finished. "Let Mr. Cole rest." Running Deer said. "One more won't hurt," Cole replied. Surprising himself, he told them about the first time he saw Montana, about mountains touching sky, about rivers running crystal clear, about the promise this land held for anyone brave enough to claim it. Morning Star fell asleep against his leg, her small hand curled around his finger. Cole looked down at her, then at Little Hawk leaning against his other side, then at Running Deer watching them all with tears in her eyes. For the first time in 3 years, his cabin felt like something other than a tomb. It felt like home. 3 days passed. The storm continued its white siege. Each day, walls crumbled. Trust built like firewood stacked against the cold slowly, carefully, one piece at a time. Cole learned more of Running Deer's story, how her husband had been the village peacekeeper, respected by their people and feared by no one. How soldiers came seeking troublemakers after a skirmish 50 miles away. How her husband stepped forward to speak reason and caught a rifle butt for his efforts. How the blow that was meant to silence killed instead. He died for peace. Running Deer said quietly one evening. They called it accident. Said he fell. Cole's jaw tightened. "I'm sorry. After, I took children and ran. Village was broken. Soldiers watching everything. I thought white towns would be safer." Her laugh held no humor. 3 times they saw Apache widow, not mother with hungry children. "See, where will you go from here?" "California. Heard there is work there. Place where my children might have chance." Cole stared into the fire. "California's far. Winter journey's dangerous. Staying anywhere is dangerous for people like us. We are safe nowhere." The words sat heavy between them. Then Cole heard himself say, "You're safe here." Running Deer's eyes met his. Why you risk yourself for strangers?" He should give easy answer. Christian duty, common decency, simple kindness. Instead, Truth came out. 3 years ago, I prayed for death. Every night. Begged God to take me too. He swallowed hard. But he didn't. Kept me breathing for some reason I couldn't see. Running Deer waited. Maybe this is why. Cole finished quietly. Maybe I was kept alive so my door would be open when you knocked. She moved closer, sat beside him on the bench. Close enough that he could smell pine smoke in her hair. See firelight reflected in her eyes. Maybe we both survived for reason we could not see, she said. Maybe we needed to find each other first. Their hands touched. Neither pulled away. Later. Cole went to his trunk. Dug through memories until he found it his wife's dress. Blue calico. Clean and warm. She'd loved that dress. He brought it to Running Deer. It's warm, clean. She would want someone to use it. Running Deer's hands trembled as she took it. This belonged to your wife. Yes. I cannot. Please. It sat in darkness for 3 years. Let it see light again. Tears fell down her cheeks. I will honor it. That night, after Running Deer and children slept, Cole sat alone with his ghosts. He picked up the tintype photograph. This time, he turned it over. His wife smiled back at him. Sarah, his son beside her, Thomas, their faces peaceful, captured in happier time. Cole waited for the crushing guilt, the weight that usually drove him to reach for whiskey. Instead, he felt something else. Something like permission. Like Sarah was telling him it was okay. Okay to live. Okay to help. Okay to let his frozen heart thaw. Thank you, he whispered to the photograph. He set it upright on the mantel where he could see it, where they could watch over this broken man learning to live again. Day 5, storm finally broke. Cole needed supplies. They were running low, 4 people ate more than one. He'd make quick trip to town, in and out. No one needed to know. He saddled his horse as Running Deer watched from the porch. You sure this is wise? She asked. We need food, won't be long. People will ask questions. I'll handle questions. But he should have known better. In small towns, everyone saw everything. Redemption Creek lay 3 miles east. Cole rode hard, hoping speed would mean less visibility. He tied his horse outside the general store, pulled his hat low. Inside, Samuel Brooks looked up from behind the counter. Cole Brennan, haven't seen you in a spell. Been keeping to myself. As usual. Samuel set to gathering Cole's order. Storm's been fierce. You ride it out, okay? Fine. Here, tell your chimney's been smoking heavy. More than usual for one man. Cole kept his face neutral. Cold weather, big fire. Samuel said nothing, but his eyes were curious. Cole paid quickly, gathered his supplies, almost made it to the door. Brennan. He turned. Sheriff Marcus Webb stood there, having entered silent as a cat. Sheriff. Thought you were dead out there, Webb said, not entirely joking. Hardly see you in town anymore. Like my privacy. Most hermits do. Webb stepped closer. Funny thing. Tom Mercer rode past your place yesterday. Says he saw footprints in the snow. Small ones. Children's size. Cole's heart hammered, but his face stayed stone. Tom drinks too much, sees things. Maybe. But he seemed certain. Webb's eyes were sharp as nails. You got visitors out there. Cole. Just me and my ghosts. Sheriff. Webb nodded slowly. Well, if you do have company, I'd appreciate knowing. Town's got right to know what kind of people are settling in our territory. I'll keep that in mind. Cole left before more questions could come. But he knew. The seed was planted. By the time he reached his cabin, dread sat heavy in his stomach. Running Deer met him at the door. Read his face like a book. They know, she said. They suspect. That's enough. We must go, now, before they come. No. Cole's voice was firm. You leave now, you'll freeze before nightfall. Temperature's dropping again. You don't understand. Fear made her voice tight. When they come, and they will, they'll make you choose. Your place here, your life, or us. Cole looked past her into the cabin. Little Hawk sat at the workbench, carving another bird. Morning Star played with yarn, making shapes with her fingers. Peaceful. Safe. Already made my choice, Cole said quietly. Running Deer grabbed his arm. You cannot sacrifice everything for strangers. He met her eyes. You're not strangers anymore. That night, no one slept well. Running Deer planned escape routes in her mind. Cole checked windows, straightened things, made lists of what they'd need. Little Hawk sensed the tension. Are bad people coming? Mr. Cole? Cole knelt to the boy's level. Not bad. Scared. Scared people sometimes do unkind things. Will you protect us? Cole put his hand on the boy's shoulder. With everything I am. It was a promise that might cost him everything. His home. His standing. His place in the only community he knew. But looking at these three souls who'd become his reason for breathing, Cole knew some things were worth any cost. Dawn of day 6 brought the sound Cole had been dreading. Hoofbeats. Multiple riders. Coming fast. He stepped onto his porch before they reached the cabin. If confrontation was coming, better to meet it standing tall. Sheriff Webb led the group. 5 men, total town council members. Faces set with righteous determination. They stopped their horses in a line, looking down at Cole like judges at a trial. Brennan, Webb called. Need a word. Then speak. Webb dismounted. Approached. The others stayed mounted, a show of force. The Apache woman and her children. They can't stay here. Cole's jaw tightened. Why not? You know why. It ain't proper. It ain't safe. People are talking. People always talk. Doesn't make them right. Jacob Harris spoke from his horse. You're bringing trouble to our town. Cole, Army's been through looking for runaway Apache. You want soldiers poking around Redemption Creek. She's not a runaway, she's a widow. Her husband died. She's trying to keep her children alive. That's her story, another man muttered. Cole stepped forward. It's the truth. I know truth when I hear it. Do you... Webb raised a hand, calming the others. Listen, Cole, we got nothing against you personally. You've had your sorrows. We respect that. You kept to yourself, never caused trouble. But this... He gestured toward the cabin. This crosses lines. What lines? She's Apache. This is a white settlement. We got ways here, customs. You're upsetting the natural order. Cole almost laughed. Natural order. As if God drew lines between grief and mercy based on skin color. I'm giving shelter to a widow and her children, Cole said steadily. On Christmas week. In a Christian town. Tell me which part violates your natural order. Webb's face reddened. Don't quote scripture at me. Brennan, you know what this looks like. A white man, alone, with an Apache woman and her children. People are talking. Let them talk. It's not just talk, it's your standing here, your place in this community. Webb stepped closer, lowering his voice. You've got until tomorrow morning. Send them on their way. Let them find their own path. This doesn't have to become a bigger problem than it already is. And if I don't, then you're choosing them over us, over everything you've built here, over your future in Redemption Creek. The name suddenly felt like bitter irony. Redemption Creek. Where was redemption if mercy was a crime? Cole stood straighter. I hear you, Sheriff. I understand the position. Webb nodded, relieved. Good man, Knew you'd see reason. Didn't say I agreed. Said I heard you. The sheriff's relief evaporated. Brennan, come back tomorrow. You'll have my answer then. The men exchanged glances. Webb mounted his horse, looking down at Cole with something like pity. Think hard on this. Cole, think about what you're giving up. Oh, I will. You do the same. Think about what kind of redemption a town offers when it turns away widows and children. They rode away in a cloud of dust and judgment. Cole stood on his porch until they disappeared. Then he went inside where Running Deer waited, face pale with fear. You heard. She nodded. We will leave, tonight, before more trouble comes. No. Cole, please, no. He took her hands, held them firm. 3 years I've been dead inside, walking around, breathing, but dead. Then you knocked on my door, and I remembered what living felt like. This is not living. This is you losing everything for strangers. You keep using that word, strangers. He squeezed her hands. You're not strangers. You're the first people to make this cabin feel like home since I buried my family. You're the first people to make me want to wake up each morning. Tears streamed down Running Deer's face. You will lose your place here, your home. What home? Empty cabin full of ghosts. That's not home. That's just slow death with a roof. He touched her cheek gently. You and those children, you brought Christmas back into this place. Real Christmas. The kind that's about sheltering the cold, feeding the hungry, loving the unloved. From the back room, Morning Star's voice called, Mama is Mr. Cole, sad. Running Deer's tears fell faster. Cole managed a smile toward the sound. Mr. Cole is making a decision. He called back. Best decision he's made in years. That night, while the others slept, Cole wrote a letter. Careful words on precious paper. He folded it neatly, placed it in an envelope. Then he wrapped the tintype photograph carefully and set it beside the letter. Tomorrow, he would face the town, not with anger or defiance, but with something stronger. Truth. And if truth cost him everything, at least he'd know his life meant something. At least he'd know he died with his soul intact. Outside, wind whispered through the pines. Inside, Cole Brennan finally found his reason for living. Sunday morning, Christmas week, the church bell rang across Redemption Creek, calling the faithful to worship. Cole dressed in his best clothes, the ones he hadn't worn since Sarah's funeral. Dark coat, clean shirt. His hands trembled slightly as he buttoned it. Running Deer watched from the doorway. Where are you going? Church, coming with me. Fear flooded her face. They won't allow, it's God's house. God doesn't turn away his children. He knelt before Morning Star and Little Hawk. Would you like to see the town, the pretty church with the bell? Morning Star's eyes lit up. Can we, Mama? Running Deer looked at Cole, searching his face for doubt, finding none. She slowly nodded. They dressed carefully. Running Deer wore Sarah's blue dress, and it fit like it was made for her. The children wore their cleanest clothes, faces scrubbed, hair combed. They rode into town together in Cole's wagon, him driving, Running Deer beside him, children wrapped in blankets in back. The sight of them stopped people mid-stride. Gasps, pointed fingers, hurried whispers. Cole drove steady, head high, at the church. He helped them down, took Running Deer's hand publicly. The children held tight to their mother's skirt. The congregation, filing up the steps, froze at their arrival. Sheriff Webb moved to block the door. His face was hard with disappointment. Brennan, what do you think you're doing? Attending Christmas service. As Christians do. You can't bring them in here. Why not? Cole's voice was calm. Church is God's house. God's house has room for all his children, doesn't it? Sheriff murmurs rippled through the crowd. Cole felt their eyes, some hostile, some curious, some simply uncomfortable. He spoke loud enough for all to hear. I know what you're thinking. She's Apache. She's different. She's not our kind. He looked at the faces, neighbors, acquaintances, people he'd known for years. But what I see is a widow who lost her husband to violence, a mother who walked through snow to keep her children alive, children who just want to be warm and safe. He pointed to the church. Isn't that what we're celebrating this week? A family with no shelter, a child born in a stable because no one would give them room, Joseph and Mary knocking on doors, being turned away. His words hung in the cold air. Have we forgotten so quickly? Cole asked. Have we built churches to forget the very story they represent? Silence, heavy as the snow-laden sky. Then, from the back of the crowd, a voice. He's right. Heads turned. Widow Margaret Fuller stepped forward, her gray hair pinned proper beneath her Sunday bonnet. She was 60 years old and respected by everyone. Her husband had died in the war, leaving her to raise 3 children alone. She walked directly to Running Deer. I lost my husband too, she said. In the war. I know widow's grief. It has no color. She extended her hand. Running Deer took it with trembling fingers. Come sit with me. Widow Fuller said, My pew has room. Another woman stepped forward. Martha Hayes, the school teacher's wife. I'll sit with them too, she said. Then another. And another. The women moved while the men stood frozen. Sheriff Webb looked helplessly at the growing support. His wife, Clara Webb, gave him a hard look that spoke volumes. Cole faced the sheriff. You asked me to choose yesterday. I chose. Now you get to choose. What kind of redemption does Redemption Creek offer? The kind in the Bible, or the kind that turns away? Widows and orphans. Webb's jaw worked. He looked at his wife, at Widow Fuller, at the crowd of women who'd formed a protective circle around Running Deer and her children. Slowly, reluctantly, he stepped aside. Cole walked his family up the church steps. They entered together an Apache widow, her 2 children, and the broken cowboy who'd found his redemption in sheltering them. They sat in a pew. Morning Star's small hand found Cole's and held tight. Little Hawk sat straight with quiet dignity. Running Deer bowed her head, tears of relief and gratitude falling. The Reverend, Pastor James Whitfield, stepped to his pulpit. His eyes swept over the congregation, the tension, the discomfort, the few faces filled with unexpected grace. Today's sermon, he announced, is on the true meaning of shelter, what it means to offer refuge, what it costs, and what it earns. Cole listened as the pastor spoke of mercy, of grace, of the stranger at the door. Beside him, Running Deer's hand found his. He held it firmly. For the first time in 3 years, Cole Brennan sat in God's house and felt he belonged there. After the service, something shifted in Redemption Creek. Not everyone accepted it. Some men grumbled into their beards. Some women whispered behind fans. But enough hearts had opened that day, cracked open by truth and Widow Fuller's courage to change the town's direction. The women proved stronger than the men's prejudice. Widow Fuller offered Running Deer work immediately. Your needlework is fine, she said. Having examined the repairs Running Deer had done to their traveling clothes. I know families who need mending, sewing. I'll see you're paid fair. The Reverend's wife brought food to Cole's cabin, pies and preserves. Peace offerings baked with sugar and conscience. Days passed. The tension eased slowly, like ice melting in spring. Cole's cabin transformed. Running Deer sewed curtains from fabric she earned bright cloth that caught morning light and threw colors. Across the walls, Little Hawk's carvings multiplied on the windowsill birds, horses. A small cabin that looked remarkably like Cole's. Morning Star drew pictures with charcoal on brown paper. She gave them to Cole, daily drawings of their family. 4 figures always, too big, Too small, holding hands. Family. The word no longer terrified Cole. It felt like warmth instead. February arrived. Snow began its slow retreat. Days grew longer. Warmth crept back into the land. One evening, Cole sat on the porch watching the children play in melting snow. Little Hawk showed his sister how to make snowballs. Her laughter rang across the clearing like bells. Running Deer brought him coffee, their ritual now, strong and black, sweetened with precious sugar. Spring coming? She observed, sitting beside him. Seems so. You know, when spring comes, roads clear. She didn't look at him. California still waits. Cole's heart clenched. Of course. California. Her original destination. The reason she'd been traveling through Montana in the first place. California's far, he said carefully. Yes. Long journey alone. Yes. Silence stretched between them. The children's laughter filled it. Finally. Cole set down his cup. What if you weren't alone? Running Deer turned to him. Hope and fear warred in her eyes. What are you saying? I'm saying this cabin needs filling. Been empty too long. Children need teaching, need space to grow, need someone to show them carving and cooking and how to read tracks in the snow. He swallowed hard. And I need reason to wake up. You gave me that. You and those children. You made this place feel like home again. Like life instead of waiting for death. Running Deer's eyes glistened. Cole, stay. Not as guest, as family, as whatever we become. He took her hands. I'm not asking you to replace what you lost. I'm asking you to help build what we could gain. Together. Tears fell down her cheeks. My children need father. And I need children. Need to teach someone all the things I wanted to teach my boy. His thumb traced her knuckles. And I need you. Need your strength and dignity and the way you see good in people even when they don't deserve it. You deserve it, she whispered. Maybe I do now. You helped me believe that. From the yard. Morningstar's voice rang out, Mama, Mr. Cole. Look, flowers. They turned together. The little girl knelt by the cabin's foundation, pointing excitedly, flowers. Tiny green shoots pushing through the melting snow. Purple crocuses, their buds still closed but unmistakably alive. Cole's breath caught. I planted those, Running Deer said. No, Cole replied softly. Sarah planted them 3 years ago. Last spring she was alive. She loved crocuses. Said they were brave first flowers to push through winter's death. He stood, helped Running Deer up. They walked to where Morning Star knelt. 6 small shoots. 6 promises of spring. They survived, Running Deer whispered. They were waiting, Cole said, like me. Waiting for spring to come. Running Deer looked at him. And spring has come, yes. He took her hand again. Stay. Build a life with me. We've both lost so much. But maybe together we can find something new. I will stay. She said simply. This is home now. Little Hawk ran over, breathless. Are we staying? Mama really staying? Yes, little one. We are staying. The boy launched himself at Cole, arms wrapping around his waist. Thank you, Mr. Cole. Thank you. Cole knelt, pulling the boy close. Thank you. Little Hawk, you showed me I could still be a father. Morningstar tugged at Running Deer's dress. Does this mean Mr. Cole is our papa now? The question hung in the air. Cole looked at Running Deer. She nodded slightly. If you want me to be. Cole said carefully. I want, Morningstar declared, Papa Cole. She hugged his leg with all her small strength. Little Hawk joined from the other side. Cole stood there, surrounded by children, a widow's hand in his, crocuses blooming at his feet, Sarah's flowers, Sarah's blessing. He understood now. She'd planted them knowing he might need them someday, knowing spring always followed winter, knowing life persisted even through death. That evening, Cole wrote a different letter, not one of closure, but of beginning. He'd ride to town tomorrow, file papers, make things legal. The children would bear his name if they wished. Running Deer would be his wife, in time, when she was ready. But already, they were family. Spring arrived fully in Montana. Snow melted completely, revealing earth hungry for warmth. Cole's clearing turned green seemingly overnight. The crocuses bloomed brilliant purple, spreading wider than he remembered. Sarah's garden, Sarah's blessing, growing stronger each year. Running Deer, now simply Deer to those who knew her, proved herself invaluable to Redemption Creek. Her sewing was sought after by even the wealthiest families. Her quiet dignity won respect slowly but steadily. Women who'd whispered now asked her advice on stitching. Men who'd glared now tipped their hats. Not all accepted. Some never would. But enough did. Little Hawk thrived under Cole's teaching. The boy had natural talent for woodworking. His carvings improved weekly. Cole taught him to read, to write, to figure numbers. The boy absorbed everything like dry earth drinking rain. Someday, Little Hawk said one afternoon, "I'll build house for you and Mama." "I'd like that," Cole replied. "Make it strong." Morning Star blossomed like her namesake. Her laughter filled every corner of the cabin. She followed Cole everywhere, asking endless questions. "Papa Cole, why do birds sing? Because they're happy." "Little Star, are you happy?" He looked at her innocent face. "I am now." A widow Fuller visited often, becoming like grandmother to the children. She and Running Deer developed deep friendship, two widows who understood each other's grief and each other's strength. "You've done a good thing here," Fuller told Cole one morning. Sarah would be proud. The words settled into his heart like seeds finding soil. By April, Cole and Running Deer married. Simple ceremony at the church. Pastor Whitfield presided. The children stood as witnesses. Widow Fuller cried happy tears. Not everyone attended, but enough did. After, they walked back to the cabin together. Their cabin now. Their home. Morning Star skipped ahead, Little Hawk beside her. Running Deer now, Dear Brennan. If she chose to use it, walked with her hand in Cole's. "Happy?" she asked. "More than I thought possible." "Me too." They reached the cabin. The door stood open, welcoming. Inside, sunlight streamed through colorful curtains. Little Hawk's carvings decorated every surface. Morning Star's drawings covered the walls. The smell of bread baking filled the air. Home. Real home. Built on mercy and maintained by love. Cole paused at the doorway, looking in. On the mantel, two photographs now stood side by side. One old Sarah and Thomas, their faces peaceful in eternal memory. One new tintype taken last week in town. Cole, Deer, Little Hawk, Morning Star, their faces alive with hope, past and present, loss and gain, death and life. Different chapters of the same story. Papa Cole. Morning Star called from inside. "Come see, the bread is ready. Coming, Little Star." He stepped through the doorway. The threshold no longer felt like a barrier between isolation and connection. It felt like a bridge between who he was and who he'd become. That night, after children slept and Deer rested beside him, Cole stepped onto the porch. Stars scattered across the sky like scattered hope. He thought of Christmas Eve, that desperate knock, that whispered plea. "No one gives us shelter." He'd opened his door that night not knowing he was opening his heart, not knowing that saving them would save him. A man's worth ain't measured by what he's lost, his father used to say, but by what he chooses to save. Cole had chosen to save a widow and her children. In doing so, he'd saved himself. The crocuses bloomed bright in the moonlight. Sarah's gift, her blessing from beyond. Tomorrow would bring work and laughter and lessons. Tomorrow would bring the steady rhythm of family life rebuilt. Tomorrow would bring another day of the second chance he never expected. But tonight, Cole Brennan stood on his porch and breathed deep the spring air. He was home. They all were. And sometimes, that was the greatest miracle of all. Some doors close with death. Others open with mercy. And sometimes, just sometimes, a whispered plea on Christmas Eve becomes the beginning of everything.